thank you for joining us. Well, we are going to get this kicked off right away then. I'm going to do some quick introductions here. First, I'd like to introduce the board members of Missionville USA. My name is Jen Ludlum, and I'm the current president and co-founder of Missionville USA, along with my other half, Sue Remus. Can you raise there? And then we have Dan Gensler is on the call with us, who has been a board member with us. He's our treasurer from the very beginning when we started over 13 years ago for Missionville USA. I'm gonna now do an introduction for the Missionville Care Center, our friends from far across the sea. Oh, we've got one more board member coming on. Ben is on his way into our call. First, we have Sabrina, who is the manager of the Missionville Care Center. We have Linda with us, who does marketing and fundraising. And then we have Janine Barlow, who is the principal of the Normoyle Primary School there at the Care Center. And so excited to hear from all of them. Our couple guests there's Ben.
There's Ben.
Ben, you are muted. You're muted right now, Ben. We also have Lisa joining us. Okay, Ben, we can see you, but we can't hear you yet.
Okay, can you hear me?
Hello, Ben.
I don't see
Ben and Yvonne's with me.
Hello, Yvonne.
Oh, here we go. There's Ben.
Ben is also one of our Missionville USA board members. We are going to make this a fairly informal chat. We're going to let those three from the care center give us some updates and whatnot, but we would like it to be very open with questions. If anybody has a comment or question, please feel free as they're speaking to, go ahead and ask your questions. It's just going to be, kind of an open conversation, but they've got lots of great stuff to share with us. Just kind of waiting for Lisa to come on.
I don't know if you
Lisa's working on it.
Here,
Lisa,
here,
you're muted
there's
right
Ben.
now.
I don't know if you hit view, if that'll give you more of them.
Oh, yeah, Bob, are you trying to see more people?
Mhm.
If you do go up to view and click on that and do gallery,
Ah, thank you.
you're welcome.
That's what I was trying to
There we
say.
go. Yep. And Lisa, I do not know who Lisa is at this point because I don't have a last name. Sorry, Lisa. It'll be a surprise when you join us.
But we're happy you're here.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us. Sabrina, would you like to start off with the care center?
I can if you want me to.
Please.
Hi, everybody. And thank you so much for coming online to have a chat. And it's really good to see you again. How long has it been, Jen, since we last had this? It's not been a year. Don't say it's a year.
It was last year's Hope for the New Year. So not quite a year yet.
Okay,
That was
so
that was the first time we did this type of live event. Yep.
doesn't feel like it's that long ago. Well, guys, what can I say? The center is, I would say, going strong. We just had a tough time, I would say, with Sister Ethel's birthday and the day of her passing. And somehow Linda and I spoke, I think, on Sister Ethel Memorial Day, how this year it felt very, very heavy. And I suppose it's been the third year, it's kind of sinking in slowly but surely that this is our reality and she's not physically with us. But yeah, I keep telling people the same thing. She's just around. And I often sit back and think, oh my goodness, what on earth am I going to do? And then I get to think, what would she do? What would she say? And to be honest, it's very unlikely that I would do what she would do, but I would always get her advice and I would always think it through. And it's always helpful. And, it's just really like, it's soothing. It's good to have that
Amen.
feeling of connection, that we are not kind of lost in muddling our own way. And I wouldn't want to say that we're quite a bunch of competent people, so not to undermine ourselves, but it's good to have that connection feeling, that we quite sure she would be proud. There are things she would certainly not like, but then come around eventually. So it's yeah, it's very good. And the center is just growing stronger and stronger. It's to me, it's just amazing how much life there is at the center and how many people we can see developing. And I want to carefully say for the better. So within a couple of weeks, sometimes you see the change in a person that suddenly stands more upright, is a little bit cleaner, it's a bit happier, a bit gentler, a bit kinder. And it makes my day every single day. It's really just outstanding. And of course, there are things that are frustrating them and that are frustrating us and that are frustrating me. And there are setbacks in all of this. So we often also speak about our success stories. It's almost like whenever we want to point somebody out who's done so well, they kind of ditch. And we're like, oh gosh, we shouldn't have talked about it. But also that is part of life, right? We can't always get it right at the first time. And if everything was always just perfect, nobody would ever learn anything. So we always take that with a pinch of salt and we soldier on and we love on, really. And there are very few people that have never gotten another chance or kind of like did it so badly that they cannot now be helped anymore, kind of, you know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Linda, help me.
I think you actually summed it up so beautifully. Before I start, I do want to just say a big thank you to all of you for journeying with us. And like Sabrina said, it doesn't feel like quite a year. It hasn't quite been a year since we've last done this. You might remember at the last one, we had this anonymous American donor that made a substantial donation, and we still don't know who that person is. So it happened again, not too recently, a few months ago, but just in case somewhere in the universe, whenever I speak to an American, I'm like, could you tell Anonymous how grateful we are? Because we don't know who this person is. But twice it has literally saved us, and I suppose, like Sabrina was saying, you know, you feel Sister Ethel's hand in something, and sometimes I wonder, is she putting in a word for us somewhere, or how has that happened? Because it has been extremely tough on the fundraising side, and this has happened twice now. So I'm just hoping that somewhere in the universe, Anonymous is getting the message of gratitude, and I wish even more so that they would have the opportunity to come to the center. It is such a happy place to come to. I've always said it's a bit of a bizarre space because you are surrounded by a lot of heartache, a lot. And I think what got to me recently was just the complete deprivation. We've been doing some distributions. We got a new partnership now with a place called SA Harvest. I just don't think you have it in America. It began in Australia. It was actually a South African woman that began it. But anyway, so they rescue food. And what they mean by that is not rescuing sell-by date food. It is overproduction. So it's the farmer that can't export his oranges because literally they're not orange enough, or they're not big enough, or there's a mark on something. So it's overproduction. A factory has overproduced and that hasn't sold. And I don't know, they can give you the stats of how many tons goes into landfill. So what they do is they team with logistics companies to bring it to places like ourselves. And in that process, we've had the joy of bringing food to people who really need it. But I think it was quite an eye-opener also for all of us to physically be in people's home spaces. And I use the word home metaphorically because it is little better than a cage. And so it's been quite an experience. It's been quite a ride. But then you also see the resilience of the people, and that's something that always stays, I think, with everyone that comes to Mission Vale, is that despite all of that, there's just all the smiles and all the happiness and that can-do attitude. And there's been so many successes. I'm going to, I think, hand over to Mrs. B, because you have had quite a ride this year with the kids. You know, you guys are kicking off your education campaign, and that's also so special that you're doing that in memory of Sister Ethel. As you know, that school was everything to her. It has her name on it, much against her will, I might add. She never wanted her name on that school. But Mrs. B, can you tell us a bit about your year to date?
Good evening, everyone. Ben,
evening.
I see you. I see you. I see you, Ben. Hi, Ben. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
You know, I told Jen before any of you guys logged on, I said, I'm not going to cry. Am I right, Jen? And I'm crying already. I told myself I'm not going to cry. I can't help it. The love that Sister Ethel had, I always say, if we don't give our best, we are insulting her. You know, that's my personal opinion. And every time anyone donates to whatever they can, the love just overflows to the center and then to the school. And everything we've done this year, what really got to me was when I stood outside and I was like, wow, Sister E, look where we are, look what we've done. Sister Ethel was very much on education, leadership. She was very, her opinion to me was always, don't start something if you cannot sustain it. And the other question she always asked, why are you doing it if it doesn't make sense? And I want all of you to know that, yes, we had a roller coaster ride. It was the first time we took our kids to Cape Town, the first time those kids traveled this year. Some of you saw our pictures, others didn't see it. I mean, I can tell you, a child that has never been at a restaurant eating with a knife and a fork, you know what that does to you. And they would just, you know, very gently speak to me, or we go to the bathroom and they don't understand how the systems work in a bathroom. That does something to you, you know, and those are the things that make me grateful for where I am. My attitude for gratefulness is going to be always give my best, because Normoil was started by Sister Ethel, and she wanted the children from Normoil to go into the marketplace, to move into the world. And our steel pan is one of our new, actually we started last year, so they're performing with the university. We're getting the university to train the kids in music. And they've been doing extremely well. So they were invited to play at the Baxter Theatre. I mean, that's a big place, people, for children that's never traveled, to perform at the Baxter. And the comments that people gave, it warmed my heart. Even though I was dead tired, I didn't care. It was the joy, you know, it was the joy that did something to me. It was the fact that we could show the children place. And funny enough, people just came on board to want to make this journey so memorable for the kids, you know. I mean, it just happened, and it's like, oh, you think we're going to be there? And those are things that we don't take for granted at the school. Our literacy programs have just boosted. Our kids are onto the semifinals of a reading and a spelling competition as well. So apart from our music and dancing, and education is important, you know. And if there's space in the marketplace for our kids, they must occupy those spaces. We must make ourselves available, because the investments into the lives of the children cannot just die there at the gates of Normoil or Mission Vale. It must move on, so that those kids, my belief system is, when those kids grow up and they study, they must come back and make a difference in Mission Vale. One child at a time. That's how we're going to make a difference, by teaching the children an attitude of gratitude, doing your best in what you are doing so you can just come. And I want all of you to know the high schools are doing very well because of our kids. We had a march and drill competition this weekend. Their Hillside was. They won one category. Our kids was in there because they got their training from our school. You know, we have a chess champion from Hillside. He's in Johannesburg this weekend. He came from Normoil. You know, our rugby kids are going to Otto du Plessis. They come from Normoil. So the spaces that our kids occupy in high schools, it shows the work that's been done in primary school. Even though sometimes I get so despondent at times when I hear that and I see it with my own eyes, I'm like, yeah, no, we're on the right track. You know, that feeling of now we're doing something right. So we don't take anything for granted. I can tell you of all our programs at the school, I'm going to take up all your time. That's the truth. But what I want all of you to know is that the hard work that we are putting in is our act of love. You know, it's a labor of love. And the results, that's our reward. Our reward is not a salary. No. Our reward is when the kids are doing well and I can just sit back and say, that was nice. You know, that was good. Yes, we do have challenges with violence in the area and it does touch our learners. It is a fact, but we always try to teach the children. Unfortunately, that's the scenario in South Africa. Schools are in danger. It is a fact. The police are on board and they're doing a lot of training with our kids. They're training and teaching the kids, be vigilant, be careful where you go. It's a fact. But we can't be scared of life. We have to live life because life was a gift given to us. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And also, when you come to Mission Vale, please don't forget, I already have Sue's mother. She's going to spend all the time at the school. I have a commitment there already, so I'm thankful for that. Ben already spent some of his time. I'm waiting for more people to come to the school because you have to experience Mission Vale. You have to experience the school, you know. What I'm telling you is literally, what we're telling you is a drop in the basket or in the bucket of what is really happening at the center that people don't see. And we are grateful for all the help we get, you know. We don't take it for granted. We always say thank you. The word thank you might be so small, but Sister Effu always said that's enough if it comes from a good place. Thank you. Yes.
Mrs.
Yeah, that's
Barlow,
me in a
I wanted to
nutshell.
ask you about the children going from the primary school to the high school. I know at one time that was challenging also because there wasn't transportation. And so we weren't seeing a lot of the kids continuing on with the high school, but it sounds like now there are more children going from Normoil Primary to high schools. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, what I must say is that the resilience of the kids, you know, some of the kids walk to school. I promise you guys, it's their determination. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's their determination. A lot of our kids, actually all our kids are placed in high schools. I want all of you to know that the high schools normally, we used to go to them. Sister Ethel took me to the high schools, but now the high schools come to us and ask for our kids.
Oh, that's great.
They've been thankful for the product that they've been thankful for the product we've sent them. And I had some matric farewells, by the way, last week. I was like all over. I was a crazy chicken because everybody wanted me to be there. I couldn't go to everyone's houses. So we have already matriculants and some of them have already enrolled at the various colleges. And also, obviously, the doors of Normoil is open for them if they want to come and volunteer. It's important we must open the door for them to come and volunteer. Because at the end of the day, when we die or whatever happens to them, it's their school. They must come and do it. So yes, all our kids are successfully placed, as well as our Elson kids. People, we have an Elson class as well. So our Elson kids are also placed successfully. Fontaine Primary, it's a relationship we have with them. And then Westview also took some of our kids. And I'm thankful for that as well.
That's awesome.
I think, can I add a little bit?
Yeah.
So we have children that go to the high schools around the area where we see that they walk to school. That's Hillside, that's in our schools in our Gore Park. And then we have other kids that go further away. And we have a bunch of people, I want to say from the top of my head, about 7 who approached me and said, you know, our kids are going to high school, but we really struggle with the transport money. We basically cannot afford to transport the kids. So we have an agreement with them, and the parents are volunteering at the center. So the parents
Yes,
work
yes,
so
yes.
that we then pay for the transport for the children. Obviously, that's not exactly a bottomless pit. We only have so much work to do, and on the other hand, we only have so much money to hand out for transport. But yeah, we're trying our best to somehow afford the kids the opportunity to go to school, as weird as that sounds. And then we are working with a special needs school. That's actually a care center where we provide the transport, and the parents do make means. So they're paying a small amount. They're paying 100 rand in a month, but they're paying something towards transport. And again, that is so that the children are not at home, and the parents have an opportunity to take a break from looking after their special needs children, because that is hard work, to be honest. And then also have an opportunity to find employment, even if it's small piece jobs here and there. But yeah, so we're doing our part, I would say, and trying to make it possible for the kids to stay in school. Just a little
Sabrina,
add-on.
Sabrina, you mentioned you provide some transport. What type of transport are you providing? A taxi service? I mean, are you going out and finding people to drive these kids, or I mean, how's that working?
So it's like the care center has two quantums, which are basically those small taxis, right?
Yeah.
So in the morning, before the drivers do anything else, they drive the kids to school.
Yeah.
So the first trip of our two drivers is always the kids to school. And then we organize our days around the pickup in the afternoon. So basically it's our drivers that are driving them on the way out, sort of, you know?
So you have two vehicles you're doing this with?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a waiting list of children that would love to join that cannot. So it's very interesting. So this little care center that I'm talking about has space for 45 children. And of this 45 children, 32 come from Mission Vale. And it is 32 and not 40 because we only have 2 vehicles with a capacity of 16. So if we had more space, there would be more children from Mission Vale going to the school. But this is the best we can do. We have 2 drivers, 2 quantums. So
were those vehicles provided by somebody to you, or did you have to buy those, or how did that work?
so one of them
Okay,
was actually a donation from Isetu. Linda, the second one, help me.
Yeah, so the first one was actually very kindly donated by Rotary International some years ago. Dan might remember that. Sister, it was a dark blue van that did us very, very well. I think Sister Ethel used to call that bus the Lady in Blue. But the lady did many, many miles, and the Lady in Blue needed replacement. And so we had to trade her in. And then, as Sabrina said, the other one was donated by a local trust. Yeah, it's really, it does more than just transporting the kids, though. It also is used for taking patients to and from hospital. We work with the government hospital that's not too far from us, but then we also work with another hospital. I think provincial is mostly the eye stuff, so cataract surgeries and things like that has to be, referred to another hospital. Public transportation in South Africa is just really, really expensive. So it serves a lot of purposes. And then, we're always trying, because the petrol is so expensive now, or the gas in your case, we try and zone things together. So if we see a driver is in an area, then it often happens that you have patients and you have school kids and you have, a donation of clothing or something floating around the back. I can tell you some stories. There was one time that we had a dead flamingo and 2 live chickens, which is the story for a whole different day. So always an adventure.
In the van.
Yeah.
In the van, yes. what happened was Sister Annie, who's our nurse, found kids playing with a dead flamingo. There's a salt pan up the road, and there are flamingos, and this bird had died, and obviously there's a bit of a health risk. So she took the bird away. Oh gosh, and we had volunteers in the van from overseas who I don't know what they thought, but anyway, so she.
I think it was Americans,
then-
don't you think?
I think it was Americans actually, and I think they were doctors. And yeah, it was I'm sure it was two American doctors. And she picked up this dead flamingo, and then they passed a lady who Sister Annie knew, and she wanted a lift, and she had 2 live chickens with her, and so it's no problem. So they arrived back with 2 live chickens and a dead flamingo, and I'll just never forget it. So
Wow.
yeah.
I wanted to ask another question of Mrs. Barlow about the STEM program, and there's some new building I think they dedicated last year, something like Be Worth It. Is that close?
Yes, that is in honor of that man sitting right there, looking in my face right now, sitting next to his beautiful, beautiful person. Yes, Ben is an avid lover of robotics. And Ben has been very generous towards our school. Our school have been doing great. By the way, Ben, you saw what you did now. This is what you did. Now our robotics kids are teaching high school teachers and learners at the other schools how to be brilliant in robotics. Ben, it's your fault, no? I want you to know you did that. So we have our own lab, because I knew we are actually groundbreakers in a lot of areas in education. Robotics and coding hasn't been so predominantly in the schools, but it has become compulsory now. And we've already been 4 years in it. So what was good for us was the work has been done, the setup has been done. So we're not really lost. Some changes in how they want the presentation, because you must understand it's still a school. So it's a curriculum issue. So apart from the fact that we had a way that we did it, the department demands a specific way how they want the work to be done and how they want the work to be recorded, because it's phased out to all the primary schools and all the high schools. It's a subject that we have now from grade 1 right up to grade 7. And yes, Ben is the man that we are thanking for that. He's the one that stirred up. His passion became our passion. And we do what we can based on the rules that set out. Like I said, when Ben introduced this to us, there was a specific way of how things were done. But because we, unfortunately, we have to participate in curriculum matters with what is set out from the Department of Education. But we're not lost, because we learn from the best. We receive from the best. And the
that's
learners
available,
love it.
Mrs. Barlow, to everyone now, to all the students?
Yes, it is available to everyone. It is available. Like I said, it's part of our curriculum. If you come to the timetable, you see that's one of the first things people, they want to see it in our timetable represented. It's a subject in our school now.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Good
Okay.
job, Ben. Does anyone else have questions?
Because I have more if you don't.
Shoot, so go for it.
Okay, Mrs. Barlow, can you talk to us a little bit about the computer lab and what's happening there? Are there needs there, or do the children have what they need for the computer labs?
Well, for now, because the computer lab is utilized by the entire center, which I think is brilliant, because you can't have a community center and they just think one part of a center must be developed, an entire center must be developed. So yes, our grade 1s right up to grade 7s, once again, computers is also a subject on our timetable, gentlemen and ladies. Remember, we live in an era of technology, and Linda will tell you, I love technology. I teach technology. So technology must be available for everyone. You can't have children moving to the high schools that they are moving onto, and they don't know how to open or operate a laptop. it's really going to be detrimental to our learners, because remember, even though we cannot give schoolwork to the learners via email, our learners cannot do Zoom. They're being taught that because, guys, they're going to do it in high school. We can't run away from that. Remember, they are going to governmental schools, and that is a requirement. So yes, the computer lab is running and they are getting their programs there. What I love about Mfundo is that I gave him a needs assessment on what the department's requirements are that the kids must know. And they are doing really a brilliant job on that. Yeah, so we still have the lab going on and our kids are doing very well. I asked them from next term on to include the grade R's, the 5-year-olds as well.
Great, right.
They were very open.
Can I jump in again?
They were very open to
Can I
that.
add on?
Excuse me. Yes, you may.
So Janine talks about Mfundo and you ask about needs, Sue. Mfundo is a service provider that I don't believe any of you has met. Maybe Ben, but I'm not sure. Mfundo is an amazing person, to be honest. He is a boy from the location himself who was a good rugby player and through that got a scholarship through an organization that's called United Through Sports and was supported by them until he was 18, I believe. And is the only one person of their program that actually still holds his own business. So he runs a small business that initially was a computer fixing service business, kind of. And he said his passion is to do community development. How can he do that and what can he do? And he came to us through the animal clinic. Long story short, he offered me that he would fix our computers for free if I'd let him. Yes, thank you. And he did that. I think he fixed about 3, and then he said if he could please have a meeting with me and what else could he do for us. And we talked, became really good friends, by the way, but like he offered that he could teach computer literacy to our people. And then we did staff training, staff literacy, computer literacy training. And then he approached the school and asked what's happening there. And they did not have an actual computer lessons teacher. They had teachers teaching the kids. But they then gladly agreed that he could teach the children. So what he's been doing this for, correct me if I'm wrong, girls, but 2.5 years. And he costs us money, of course. He costs us, he has a team of 4 to 6 people that do that. So it's not a one-man show. He trains people also from the locations to provide this training to the kids and adults and everybody. And so he costs the school about 4,000 Rand a month, and he costs the center about 3.5. And that's something that is not really secured funding, but I think a very vital service to both the center and the kids. So you're asking if we need something? Sustaining that service would be amazing.
Okay.
And
Very
I've got a couple questions. First, is B. How many students are enrolled in the school currently?
We currently have 196 learners
190.
now. 196, yes.
And I just wanted to comment your enthusiasm and excitement really shows. And I can tell you enjoy what you're doing.
Bob, wait
I
till
do.
you, Bob, wait till you go visit and you see Mrs. Barlow teaching netball out on the course. That's really a treat. She's fantastic and the energy is up here.
That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank
And
you.
Linda, getting back to fundraising, I know it's always difficult, but are the funds that you typically get each year, are they steady? Are you losing fund, people that are providing money, or, and more importantly, are you finding new sources of funding?
It's a brilliant question, and thank you for asking that, Bob. We've been very lucky in that people have remained steady. We were very concerned that, especially after Sister Ethel's passing, because so many people bought into the center because of her, that there'd be this exodus, and it hasn't happened. So our donor stream remained very steady. But I also have to add that it is typically people of a certain age group who are now moving on. We've had a lot of people who passed away this year. Some remembered us and they will, some didn't. So that's been difficult to deal with, emotionally and financially, of course. There's also been how can I put it? If somebody was giving a monthly donation 10, 15 years ago, and maybe that time it was 100 Rand, they might still be doing that now. So it's not increased. Yeah. So, and the thing is, what we could do with 100 Rand even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, is so different. So we have a really wonderful problem in that so many community members have bought into the system of reciprocity. So we've got this community exchange system where people are able to do something in exchange for what they're getting. And they're volunteering and they're coming to the support groups and they are just so engaging, and it is so encouraging to see. But the flip side of that is it's difficult for us to honor our side of the bargain. So the bargain is you do one of the 4 things: you come to a support group, you upskill yourself, you volunteer, or you bring recycling. And in exchange for that, we give you our token MCC bucks, and that you can trade. Now, we're quite fortunate with clothing and furniture and those sort of donations, but we don't have to buy that in. But the complete essentials, the food, the basic, and I'm really talking the very basics of food, oil to cook with, maize meal, tinned food, that we have to buy in. And I'm sure in America it's exactly the same. The food prices have just skyrocketed. I can't remember if I told you this last time, I might have, but like, just for an example, a loaf of bread cost us 6.50 Rand, I think, up until December 2022. And now it's costing us 10 Rand for that same loaf. Wow. So that one change has added 500,000 Rand to our annual budget. And what we're not seeing is the increase. So Sabrina actually did a little study of our financials over the last few years. And it's not that we're raising less, it's that we're raising the same, but we need more. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yep.
And it's partially because of additional programs, and it's partially because of price increases.
Yeah.
But people have been so good in, it's also people are not able. We had 2 wonderful donors who just themselves fell onto difficult times. So they just said, as soon as we're able to, we'll reinstate it. But right now they just can't. So there have been some small losses, but nothing too severe, thankfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I've got a question as far as the MCC bucks and the store. How is that working? Or have you been able to, expand that, because you'd have to have goods, for people to, purchase from the store in lieu of, with their bucks, for actually doing additional services for the center.
Yeah. So I'm sad to tell you, Ben, that we've had to cut down the number of days. We actually had to shut the swap shop not too long ago because we don't have enough. We constantly just don't have enough. Which is kind of how this partnership with SA Harvest came about. So, that is providing some relief now, but still nothing close to what we need. Sabrina, do you want to add to that?
First, find the unmute button. Yeah, your You're exactly right. It's never enough. The problem is it will never be enough, and we're aware of that. If we have enough stock in the shop, we will not be able to restrict ourselves from letting more people in. Knowing the hearts of my people, that will forever be a problem. But we are trying to be creative, if I can put it that way, on how people can actually buy things that they also need. The most urgent need is always food. And it's been frustrating a lot of people that even on a shopping day, the last people that come to the shop will not get what they actually need anymore. And what's left are items that are good to have, but they may still have a bottle of oil. They don't need another bottle of oil, but the rice that they really urgently needed is gone. Because it's just too many people for what we are able to offer. And we obviously want to sustain this. So one thing we have done to make it more, I don't even know what to call that word, but what we did is people can lay by. I don't know if you know lay-bys. Was very new for me as a German girl coming to South Africa. So you pay upfront to get something. Furniture and household items like washing machines and fridges and whatnot, whatever we get donated goes into our swap shop, and obviously is priced differently. Like a wardrobe will be more expensive than a packet of rice. So the people have the opportunity to put bucks towards this item. And then that has motivated people. Another thing, I think we have one particular staff member, her name is Coco, and she has brought us great relief in the swap shop in that she has herself, she was a learner in our new venture creation program. And when she earned MCC bucks, she went fashion shopping in our clothing store. This girl is the best dressed person I know, and 90% of her wardrobe come from the swap shop. So she has encouraged all the people that she's now working with, like, you want to look like me, go and shop there. And all you need is a bit of time and an eye. And she literally brought these people to really be on the lookout for exciting clothing. So it draws a bit away from the urgent food need, so it's a bit of a trying to shift the excitement of the shopping away from the urgency of the food, if that makes any sense. So we will never have, the truth is we always need more food. And even with the SA Harvest people coming in, it's amazing what they bring. And then again, I have my finance management sitting on me saying, yeah, but if we get food for free from there, we need to stop buying from somewhere else so that we stay within budget. And we haven't stayed within budget, I think, from about March or something. So it's really hard to stay within budget when your people are hungry, I must say. That's another thing. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's
Sabrina,
all I have to add, Ben.
Mrs. Barlow, can I ask, has the food challenge impacted the food that the school is able to provide for the children? I believe at one point it was they each got some porridge, some warm porridge in the morning and a sandwich and some juice in the afternoon. Is that still happening?
Yes, and twice a week they get a cooked meal as well.
Twice a week?
Yeah, food is expensive. Yeah, twice a week they get a cooked meal, like food. Yeah, it's true what Sabrina and Linda is saying. The food is extremely expensive, people. And even though, once again, the Department of Education have a menu that they want us to zoom in and follow because of health regulations for children. And I understand what they're saying, but sometimes I do think they're unrealistic with some of the expectations. But the reality is the food is expensive. And even though we have 196 kids at the school, please remember, people, it is children whose parents are unemployed, So when they get a cooked meal at school, we're not sure they're going to have a cooked meal because their parents also come and do the bucks. Their parents also sometimes stand in the line for bread and for soup and for food. So what we feed them doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have a plate of food when they go home. But
Right.
They do get the porridge in the morning. They do get bread and juice. and they get twice a week they get a cooked plate of food as well.
Excuse me, I have to say I've enjoyed this immensely, but I have to leave because I have another obligation at 10. But it's great to have been invited to listen to all this, and thank you very much.
Carol,
Thank you
thank
for
you
joining,
for
Carol.
coming. Thank you for attending. We will have this recorded and send it out to everyone. So if you want to catch the last few minutes, feel free to catch up afterwards. But thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Have a good day.
It was lovely seeing you again.
Thank you
Carol.
so much.
See you, Linda. And actually, I need to talk to you about Fred's current project. So find out what's
Oh, good. Okay, we'll chat.
okay.
Bye.
Bye, Carol.
Can I ask a question kind of in the realm of school and education? With our current fundraiser that we're doing, at our last board meeting, one of the discussions was about also the social workers that you have who work at the center, but also deal with some of the students or help some of the students through difficult times. I'm sending this out to whoever would like to speak on this, but just curious to tell us a little bit more of how that's coordinated and how the social workers help out the students.
I don't know, should I? Janine?
From the school side, when there's a case that needs attention, remember, the system used to be like we have to go and find social workers outside the perimeters of the center. And it's quite a lengthy process. So now there's a soccer on premises and we refer all our cases to her. Whether it's domestic violence, whether it's something we pick up with the child, we refer the child to the social worker. And then what she does a follow-up. She comes to the school, she does an interview, and then she follows up, which I actually enjoy because it takes a lot from our shoulders because we used to do all of those things. But now there is someone that is doing it. And that's the relationship with the school. We refer all, but remember, it's not only the school kids that she works with. Sabrina will tell you all the other things that she does. But from the school side, we just refer the kids that needs help from us. And that is one of the things that we do appreciate.
I think, Sabrina, I know you're keen to get in, but before Sabrina answers, I also just want to say thank you to Rotary for enabling us to equip all of our teachers with basic trauma counseling skills. So the teachers all attended a training course. Mrs. B, you can maybe speak on that a little bit later, because the thing is that we find that there is a lot of trauma, and most often what happens is they trust the teacher before they trust anybody else. We have had it, actually, there was a case quite recently, very, very sad case. But what was encouraging was that the child knew where to come to, and that the person that was assisting him had almost like a first aid for trauma counseling, because the teachers were coming to us and saying, we don't know how to deal with this. We don't know what to say or what to do. They've also, a lot of them endured their own trauma. So I think that that's also been quite useful. Mrs. B, I don't know if you want to add to that, and then Sabrina, I know you have something to add as well.
Yeah, I must say, even with COVID, the teachers have gone through many suffering, some of them, you know. I know one teacher lost his passion. It was too much for him. And because he just felt he's done more damage to his family because he was at school and then he got COVID and gave it to his mother, and his mother passed away. And then after that, his family kept on. But what I appreciate the most about the trauma counseling is that, apart from the fact that we teach, the teachers have their own pain. But given that space that we received because of generosity of the Rotary, we had a space that we could, you can dump it all there and you can leave feeling relieved. At the beginning, it seemed a bit, you know, some of the teachers were very apprehensive. They were like, no, that's not for us. But I knew it was going to touch each one of them, because remember, when you work with children and you try to put so much of your pain alert on, it's gonna flow over, you know. The lid is gonna come off eventually. And we were then given a space that we could go to and work through our own personal pain, our own personal trauma. And that helped us so much, because even today, when something happens with a child in the class, the first thing we identify is, what was the trauma this child, you know, our approach is different. Why is the child responding this way? Something must have triggered this child. And that is what happened because of the training we received, that I am so thankful for at the end of the day. And the children are also, apart from the fact that the teachers benefited, the children are also benefiting from, I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying to all of you, because now everyone is benefiting at the end of the day. And I mean, emotionally, you know, I want to leave that space. I had a great day today, you know, and the training gate our pain on how to deal and how to identify certain triggers, and then to help the learners at the end of the day. Thank you.
I don't even know what I wanted to say anymore.
Hey, Jen, can I share the project we're working on?
Yes, absolutely, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, nice to see you all today. I want to say this morning, this evening, we're all on such different timescales here. My personal beliefs, and I think a lot of you, follow, kind of this premise of Sister Ethel to all of us and to all that she's served is a real saint. And so I'm pursuing the canonization of Sister Ethel, and this could take years, decades, who knows? But somebody's got to start it and archive all this. So Linda and I have been working very closely together on starting to build an archive. So whether it's newspaper articles, photos, testimonials, stories, and so forth. And all of you are repeat offenders. You're always on this call because Sister Ethel touched you, and there's a love in your heart for her, and I think she's changed all of us in some way. And so, what I would really love to ask you to do is to make some time, take some time, and just reflect on your experience with Sister Ethel, and whatever personal stories you can share, how she's moved you, how you're maybe a different or better or grown person as a result of knowing her. How has she influenced you? In what ways has she influenced you? And as we collect these testimonials, the objective here is to create the story of Ethel, of Sister Ethel, and to retain and maintain and build her legacy. And so as this moves forward, we continue to build on that. I have a meeting tomorrow with Geraldine, which is one of Sister Ethel's sisters, and so fortunately, I'm really excited about that, as well as trying to get together with her other sister and her brother and her nieces and so forth. So family, and my wife and I are re-examining the possibilities of going back or going to Ireland in October and meeting again with family, the community, Little Company of Mary, and the people that she worked with over all the decades. And again, because, for example, the Mother Superior of the Little Company of Mary died this past spring. And there's a legacy right there of lots of history that we've lost in terms of capturing her experiences with Ethel. So time is a bit of the essence to capture these things, as we're all aging and things happen. And so I would ask that really all of you take and make that time and just dig deep and reflect on those experiences and how Sister E has impacted, influenced you. And you can email those to Jen or Linda, or you can directly send them to me. And I think Jen has sent out an email, and we'll probably, and Linda just sent an email a couple of days ago as well. But if any of you need the contact information, I can tell you right now, I used a couple different emails. And so I'm using Dan Gensler at outlook.com is where I'm asking everybody to send this. So Dan Gensler at outlook.com. And yeah, anything, any stories. There's no story too simple or not worth sharing. Just please, let's say, take and make the time, and we'd love to hear from you and start building and assembling this.
Fantastic. Dan, thank you for heading this up, because that is a huge undertaking and something that is so important. So thank you.
Yep, thank you all.
Well, we are at about our time. If there are any other thoughts or comments from anyone. I greatly appreciate everyone coming today and sharing in stories and our love for the Care Center and what is being done there, and helping all the students as well as the people who live in the Missionville Township. So thank you to everyone who is with us today, and keep on
Thank
going,
you.
spread the word and share those stories.
Okay. Good seeing everyone.
Great to see you all. Take care, everybody. Much love.
Bye, bye.
Thank you,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Love
Bye.
y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.